I've often wondered, do prayers ever expire? Do they have a shelf life? I mean, like, where do they live, you know? Sometimes we see the answers, but then other times we just think, okay, they're just out there in cyberspace or something. I don't know where they live. Well, recently, I had the opportunity to see God answer a 41-year-old prayer. We got a call from France. I don't know about you, but we get these robocalls, and so we don't answer them unless it's a name that we recognize. My husband didn't answer. Got it again, he didn't answer. This person was quite persistent, and they decided to text. And they said, I'm looking for Dana Howard Russo, who recorded a number of albums, and one in particular that she recorded with Bread and Honey label. And I'm just wondering if you know her or could help me in finding her. And so my husband texted back, you're in luck. So he connected me with this 20-year-old college student who is from France. He just loves old vinyl albums. And he was wanting to get in contact with me. And he was so excited to hear that I had, gone on to do a number of other albums. But I said, how'd you even know about this record? This record is 41 years old. And he said, well, that's an interesting story. He said, last summer I had the opportunity to go to Tokyo, Japan. And I was in a little record shop, and I was just drawn to this album. And I really enjoy it. And I just wanted to find you to see if you had any other albums. And it just blew me away, because what Sasha did not know was the backstory to that album. When I was to record that album, I was very, very sick with mono. I had been in bed for 5 weeks. I had been recovering from 3 itises, 3 throat infections. And we were to go into the studio and record, and my director said, we're just going to have to postpone a few months, because we have to pay for studio time. And all along, I just felt like God said, trust me for a miracle. And I would tell my directors that, and they're thinking, well, that's all well and good. I mean, I'm all for trusting God, but we're going to have to pay, And somehow I talked my directors into going into the studio. Now, again, I had been in bed. I was very weak, had done very little singing. There was not much strength. And we went into the studio, and as only God can do, he just took over. And within 10 hours, I recorded 10 songs, which I never was able to duplicate after that in the subsequent albums. Never that fast. And it would be 6 more months after I did the recording that I could even hit some of the notes that I hit on that album. So it was really a God thing. And I remember those months in bed and praying for a miracle. One of the things I asked God for, I said, I don't know how you do this, but is there a way that you can infuse your Holy Spirit on the vinyl so that wherever it goes, that you will draw people to yourself? And it wasn't until we got this text from Sasha, 20-year-old college kid, finding an album in Tokyo, Japan, to realize that God was drawing this young man to this album. And we've been in dialogue about spiritual things. It's just been so exciting to see that prayer way back when, God has brought it to light. And even just last week, someone came up and shared with me a story about that album and how God used one particular song on that album 40 years ago to really bring healing to a very traumatic event in her life. And she was overseas as well. And so just to hear what God can do once it's out of our hands, God continues to work. And so it's just been really encouraging to know that I still don't know where the prayers live, but I do believe that they never expire and that God is always at work in bringing about His plan and His purpose.